Hi, everyone, and welcome to the End of Life Journey and Beyond, the Sands of Time. My name is Lisa Strahs-Lorenc, and I am a Bereavement Support Specialist. And it's so good to see you, Susan, and happy St. Patrick's Day today.
So good to see you too, Lisa. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I am Susan Capurso. I'm a legacy specialist and an end of life doula. So today, Lisa and I are doing something a little bit differently. We're creating a video that really does hold profound meaning this St. Patrick's Day on the anniversary of my own husband's unexpected passing. So 11 years have passed now, Lisa, but love doesn't measure time in years but in moments and in memories and in the connection that transcends from the loss. So the video is not a memorial, don't worry, but it is a testament to the journey of grief and healing and the incredible resilience of the human heart.
Mhm.
And our video journey that Lisa and I have been putting together over the last couple of years has been in sharing our own intimate stories, our thoughts, and our knowledge on end of life, but also not to dwell in sorrow and to illuminate that hope that can emerge, right, Lisa, even after
Yes,
the deepest pain.
that's the
So, my
truth.
hope is that by sharing our truths today, we might offer a lifeline of understanding to anyone that's walking through their own path of loss, and to remind you all listening today that you are not alone.
Mhm.
Okay? Your love is eternal. Your healing is a beautiful and courageous process, as Lisa and I both know.
Well said. And sending you hugs today as you have all the memories of your wonderful husband.
Thank you. And let me just respond to that before we get going. So 11 years. I thought I would be okay.
Mhm. So, what does okay mean to you? Okay, what does okay mean?
Well, okay is getting up and feeling positive and jumping in the shower and getting dressed and moving forward with my day. But I was not. So our brains are powerful computers, okay? And we have powerful memory drives in our brains. And right away, even though I said my prayers before that, um, of course, it takes me back to that hospital room on that very day, hearing the bells and whistles and thinking about how he's just gone out of our lives. And it just brings a rush of sadness
Sure,
and overwhelm
sure.
and anxiety that I didn't like to feel. Now, my smart brain tells me you'll be okay. Get in that shower and get moving. And I have a to that's unfolding in front of me and things I need to do. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Your heart feels what it wants to feel, and that's what mine felt this morning.
And that is
Okay.
really okay. I just want to tell you
Right.
that. That's really okay. We don't have to pretend that we don't remember how difficult it was to lose the love of our lives. We don't have to pretend that, well, it's so many years ago, it's fine. We don't have to pretend that. I think we can sit with it and we can figure out how to get through our day and go through the memories and all, and accept. I think when we push it away, it's worse. I really do. Oh, we don't have to feel that. We shouldn't feel that. I think we go with how we feel. I
You're right.
really
You're
do.
right. And to embrace that, embrace it.
That's
And
right.
then I get a ding on my phone, somebody sent me a message, and it was actually Jim's younger sister, and with St. Patrick's clovers, and I'm thinking of you today with green hearts,
Nice.
and that was his baby sister,
Yeah.
and that meant a lot to me,
Yes.
whoever
Yes.
here was, it meant a
Yes.
lot. All right, so we want to talk about a couple topics that have guided us along the way. And I'll give you my thought, Lisa, and then let's get your thought a little bit.
Sure.
So, the
Sure.
first one is on our personal values and just our life philosophy in general. right? So maybe some of our core beliefs that have guided our life along the way. And we won't go too long into each one of these because I
Sure,
know we do have a lot of topics to cover.
sure,
But my core belief is that I know that God has been working with me since the beginning. That's just my belief, and that may not be yours. I spoke to somebody very dear to my heart recently, and that was definitely not hers. So it's okay, whatever guides you along the way, but that's been mine. Has there been anything in particular that you can give us, Lisa, that has guided you along your journey?
sure. Living life to the fullest, and that life is so very precious, and not to waste any moments of life. And I learned that very, very young, and it's carried me through my entire life. Yep. And kindness, by the way, being kind
Yeah,
to other people, being loving,
yeah,
and, whatever I would want is what I would want to give.
yeah. And that's what's guided. Those have been your principles along the
It,
way. So
they
that's
have.
wonderful. Um, as far as finding the most meaningful thing along the way, I have to say mine would be forgiveness.
Mm,
And a piece of that was for my husband, but also a lot of the other things that happened on my own journey. And I had to learn to forgive, to let go, and to surrender in that forgiveness. And I think that that's helped me. That's been the most meaningful thing for me along the way as well. Um, any thoughts on that, Lisa?
sure. For me, it's being honest and open because
Hmm.
that carries you along. It carries you through your life and your life's
Yeah,
journey.
yeah, absolutely. And going through an end of life journey with somebody you love, also some of your values can change over the years. Maybe you care about certain things that are more important to you now than they were then. I know with me, I had a lot of loss, not only my husband during those 2 years back 11 years ago, but I knew that I wanted to be a better person. That was my value, to become a better person uh, than a lot of the toxicity along the way. And I'm not saying that that was a direct result from my own husband, but it makes you look at your past relationships with other people, with other family, with other friends, and learning that that along the way that I wanted to be a better person was very important to me. That was and still is a value that I hold on to every day. What about some of your own values?
Um, I just think about not wasting my time on people who just are not worth it and deciding on the relationships that I choose. I am an extremely loyal friend. I am, a unconditional love person with the people who are close to me, and they know they can count on me, and I can count on them. So, just looking at the relationships and the value of what I give and what I'm given.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So that was great. And I want to interject here before I go on to say that if you've heard the last three topics that I brought up, both Lisa and my answer was completely different.
that's right.
And I think that's an important lesson for everybody to hear right now
Yeah,
because no two people are alike.
that's right.
So, what you might find is a value that you've gained and appreciated over the years is something completely different to me, but that's okay,
Yes, it is.
right? This is important to know. Something else is, life lessons, but some what is some of the wisdom that we've learned through all of these challenges that we've been through? And when I think about what have I learned along the way, I'm thankful that I really learned so much through books and videos and educational materials. You know, YouTube has been tremendous, um, especially in books going back the 11 years. That was the first thing I grabbed because I wanted to get different perspectives from different people on this whole grief journey. So most of the wisdom that I've learned is self-taught along the way. And I believe everybody needs to do some of that in order to get from there to here. Where have you got some of your wisdom from, Lisa, along the
Mhm.
way?
Listening to a lot of people, absorbing what they do, how they do it. I learn a lot from others, and I know they learn a lot from me. Um, I've had lots and lots of challenges. We each have challenges in our own lives. And so, you listen, my rosy colored glasses have gotten me through to this point in my life. Sometimes it's been disappointing, and sometimes it's been, very challenging to see realities. Um, I try to get a better perspective, a more realistic perspective. People have balanced me out. My partners have balanced me out pretty well, thank goodness.
Right.
But you learn from hurt, you learn from disappointment, you learn from things that didn't go the way you thought they might go. And you just revise yourself and figure out, okay, so how do you move forward from there? My mom always said to me, you are such a strong person. And I've exhibited that in so many ways in my life. Um, and you learn to draw from that strength that
Yeah,
that you have. So,
that's beautiful.
yeah.
I want to talk about maybe some mistakes that we've learned along the way. And when I think of any mistakes that I've made or could have done better, I go immediately to uh, it was a few years after, Jim, that I got my end of life doula certification. And I learned so much. I learned so much. And I think the mistakes that I made looking back were with not only Jim during his last days in the hospital room, but all the other family members that I lost in that 2 year period as well. And I feel like end of life can be done so much better.
Mm,
And I didn't know that until I took that certification. Not telling everybody to take the certification, but I learned that we can do end of life so much better, that there were things I could have done, that I shouldn't have been so afraid to
mm,
want to bring things into the room and implement things. I was very lucky through my life. I had lost my grandparents when I was younger. That was it.
mm,
I didn't I didn't go through a lot of death and dying.
mm,
So to lose 14 people within 2 years was whoa, what is going on here? So that was the what I learned when I think of mistakes. I think of had I only known,
mm,
now what I should have known then, or however that saying goes. Do you
mm.
find any mistakes or
Well,
not really?
our experience is different just because I started out my little life, with death, being 2 years old, and losing my mother. And so mistakes really for me, I think I figured out how to live life and get through life because of those situations. Mistakes are really for me trusting others, putting putting all kinds of things on others, believing that they'll be there for me, and then they weren't there for me. And it was part of my own way of coping, trying to make everything rosy and nice, and it wasn't always. Lessons learned by, they didn't come through for me, or they weren't there for me, or,
But I
I
think
thought
that was a lesson learned.
it is
And
a
I
lesson
think that
learned.
and the same thing with the things that a doula can do that most of us don't know. So even though we have two different answers here, I think that that's what life is. Life is about lessons learned.
It is.
And you could have never been able to help people like you do today
True.
had you not gone through those experiences,
That's true.
right?
And you too. Yep. Both of
That's
us.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Mm,
Lisa, I have a good question for you. If
mm.
there was any advice that you wish you could have given yourself earlier in this end of life game that we've both been playing for quite some time, what would that be? I thought about this and I thought the biggest piece of advice that I wish I would have known or could have said to myself was that everything will be okay.
Mm.
Not to be afraid, not to worry so much, not to have fear, and not to have so much anxiety. Now, don't get me wrong, that has not made me into the perfect person yet. I
But you're
still
working on
have
it.
to I
You're working
still
on it.
have to work on these things
That's
every day,
right.
but I'm still
That's right.
working.
That's right.
Any piece of advice that you would have?
Yeah. So for me, everything was like black and white. Either it's really, really wonderful or really, really horrible. And there's so many shades of gray in our lives and so many compromises in everything we do, everything we go through. And I had to learn that as I grew older, in everything, in relationships, in business, and politics, and everything. Um, I think black and white helped me to just cope better, but I needed to learn um, these grown-up ideas that gray is okay. It doesn't have
Yeah,
to be one way or the other. Yeah,
that's
it's a
right.
big lesson for me. Hmm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. And we because we're such different people, we learn things so differently
we
on
do.
different levels.
Yes,
So nobody's just like you. And that's why when we do suffer from grief and loss, it's hard sometimes to for other people to say things to us like their belief is right, or you should think this way or you should think that way, because we just can't.
no,
Everybody handles this thing differently. We're
that's
human beings. We're here
right.
for a short amount of time, and then we're going back home too,
Yeah.
and we have to try and realize that. But our lives are, our lives are filled with all these kind of stories, and honestly, when I say I had to work all the time and every day to move one foot in front of the other, I still do. I still do in so many of the things that I do just to stay healthy and to be okay. And that's okay too. We should all learn and grow and
Sure.
bring different things into our lives, but not everybody does, and they're okay with that.
Yeah.
I always feel like I have to strive for more and to be better and to bring that positivity into my life.
Hmm.
Um, so let's talk about moments of joy and
Mm,
significance in
mm,
your life.
mm,
And what can you tell people? When I think of what has brought me the most comfort over these last 11 years, I can honestly say it's when you're connecting, and I think specifically about my sister-in-law and her children who I'm very close to, and having those family gatherings or just having dinner on a Saturday night or just being able to talk about our lives and laughing and sharing. And I don't have that all the time in my life. My life has gotten a lot quieter over the last 11 years. Um, but by having pieces of that, it's just so comforting. There's love in the room. You could feel it. And I like that. Um, what have what brought you joy and
So I
significance?
don't have that with Fred's family at all. Probably never did. Um, so my joy is looking back over 33 incredible years. Um, a wonderful marriage and a wonderful life that we shared and how we met and everything. And then our children. You and I, by the way, both have sons who are engaged. And that's a really interesting, pivotal time for us. because our husbands who should be there are not the fathers of our kids. And it's such a
Yes.
bittersweet thing to think about how happy we are for them and how sad we are that they're not there to share it. So I dwell on incredible times. Um, my kids in California were going to an RV show, and those 10 years of owning an RV and what we did as a family were incredible. So I've lived through the journey and the moments and all the wonderful joy that we shared and the happiness of being a family and all. And I relive all those moments. Um, and then I have a new family now, you know with a new partner. So I'm able to now move into that. Um, as he talks about his memories, I talk about mine. We share them. It doesn't minimize anything that we have together because we're a product of all the years that we had with others. So it brings more into our relationship. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful.
That does sound beautiful. And that was my next question. I wanted to talk a
Hmm.
little bit about love,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
what have the two of us learned about love? And we have very different stories, as you just shared.
Yeah.
Um, and what I've learned about love is that you don't have to just love another person, right? There are many other things we can love. We can love our friends and our
Yep.
health and our family members and our passions and our dreams.
Yep.
So I have found other things to love along the way. And Lisa, I want you to tell our listeners what you've learned about love. And I have to jump up for 1 second because I didn't plug my charger in, and you're going to lose me in just a
Okay.
minute if I don't plug that in. But let's
Okay.
hear what you're going to say
Sure.
about love.
Well, here's how we agree. Love comes in so many different forms and so many different types of relationships. It does not lessen the incredible love that we had for the people who we have now lost. Everybody should know that. It's interesting, when I reached out about a relationship workshop and, after 50, and somebody said, "Oh, I don't need that. I had the best." All right. Well, I had the best too. However, it's not about comparing what you had, who you had, whatever. It's about realizing that you still have love and that there are many relationships that you could have. It doesn't, it, there's never been a comparison about, my partner now and my husband ever because we
Right.
bring who we are now. We bring where we are now. And so, listen, we have wonderful friendships. He has great friendships with some women. I have great friendships with some men. Um, but what we have together, I have found another person to really share my life with. And my husband would be so proud of me because that's what he wanted for me. And he told me that. So love comes in many different ways. And listen, I respect anybody like my mom, who said to all her friends, "Do not set me up with anybody. I've already been divorced once, and I'm a widow. I don't want anything more." And they had to respect that about her. She was only 50. So I was 55 when my husband died. She was 57, and that's how she felt. And she went the rest of her life without anyone else, but she had dear friends. All those couples still included her in everything they did, which was wonderful. And she didn't miss it. I would have. I know that I wanted to meet somebody else, and I was very lucky. It's luck, timing. There are a lot of things here, but I know me, and I know him too. He really wanted another relationship. So, um, you know,
That's
I
wonderful.
appreciate everyone in my life. I appreciate my
Yeah.
friends. I appreciate my relatives. I appreciate, everything that's so precious in my life.
This morning I ran into the grocery store last minute, Nellie, to get some corned beef and cabbage, right? So that's all I went in to get. And I'm picking out my cabbage, and there's an older woman who comes up next to me and she says, "I'm not sure what to do." I have two girlfriends, and she's an older lady, and the
Okay.
three of us are single by ourselves, but we decided to have St. Patrick's Day together. And I'm not sure if this is going to be too much cabbage for three people. And she was holding a head of cabbage that was probably the smallest head of cabbage on. I said, "Well, I would go with a bigger one if I were you." And we laughed, and I just told her, she reminded me almost of me, not having a significant other, but I said, "I hope you have the best time ever tonight. They're going to cook and they're going to eat and celebrate St. Patrick's Day." I had to throw that in for the holiday.
Yes. Yes.
So challenges that we've overcome. Okay, when I think of the challenges I've overcome, I really think the whole concept of that, oh no, I'm alone now. Um, you know, and the fear setting in and the worry setting in because I'm by myself and I won't be able to afford one day my mortgage or this or that. And that was a big, giant challenge for me. Financial, but not just financial, having two sons. How am I going to do this alone? So I could say in 11 years, sometimes I'm still afraid, of course. But when I look back, I think, oh my gosh, I made it 11 years. I'm still okay. And I'm still here breathing and waking up the next morning. And I can do life. And I'm still doing it. So that was a big challenge that I think I've overcome. I know now that I'll be okay. What's the worst that could happen?
Hmm.
What's the worst that could happen? You lose your
Yes.
home, you have no money left in the bank. There will always be somebody there to help and give you a cup of soup if you need it.
Uh-huh.
So that was a big one for me. Any challenges for you,
Yeah.
Lisa?
So when I was selling my house, I realized that it's the first time that I was ever going to live alone. Um, and so you look at a challenge, you say, okay, is it something that I can cope with? Is it something I can overcome? Is it something that I can embrace? And it was really cool that after I sold the house, I was trying to find like the right place to move. And I found an apartment complex that, had a little clubhouse and had a pool. And I thought, that's nice because it's almost like a little community thing, better than a house to live in or somebody else's house and stuff. So I moved to the apartment and I put aside $5,000, okay, because I had not decorated a place by myself. I mean, I met my husband in college and we decorate all our apartments together and our house together and everything. And here I was, wow, $5,000. And I went right to the store and I knew exactly what I wanted. It was very cool. And it was so much fun to find like, this is me. This is what I want now. This is not anybody else's choices. Very cool and very empowering, by the way. And when I walk into my apartment, I said, wow, this is really my apartment. Everything I've done here, this beautiful bedroom set that I picked out, everything was really mine. And you know what? Very proud of myself. Very proud of
Yeah,
myself
I love that.
negotiating
I'm
that.
glad you shared that story. Yeah, because that is a challenge
Yeah,
that we may have to do another video on because I've been in my home for 32 years now, and I'm going to be walking through that same challenge pretty soon. So you'll be able to help me with that one, Lisa. So
sure.
thank you
So,
for adding that. That's
of
really
course.
important.
Of course.
So I want to talk about what we have found. I'm sure there are two different things that have given us strength when times really get dark and when times really get tough. Um, always the glass of wine has always helped over the years, but that's not what gives you the strength that I'm talking about. So for me, it has been picking up the Bible. It's been picking up inspirational books. I follow many spiritual leaders. Some of them you may know on TV that they know their stuff. and they make me feel good. That's what does it for me. So after I listen to their show for an hour, or I pick up their book and I read one of these inspiring books, I go, ah, so all that fear and worry, it gets lifted somehow. And I get this in my car, even, whether it's listening to an audiobook or I put YouTube on a lot in my car. Right now, I'm following Michael Singer, and he talks about surrender. All of his videos are about just surrendering yourself in life to release all of those things that I'm talking about. And I drive 45 minutes to work, and by the time I get there in the morning, I'm like, oh, okay. So that does it for me. That has helped me with my challenges over the years. What's
So
helped you,
here we
Lisa?
are again. So you're a more internal person. I'm more an external person.
I guess
Okay.
that's what we can
So
call it.
isn't that interesting?
No,
So
it is interesting because,
yeah.
but I'm trying to find something that's missing. I
So
guess that's why I'm internal.
sure. So I look towards all the people that I can rely on, that I know love me, that I love, that really care deeply about me and my happiness, and that I know I can call anytime, anywhere. And there are a number of people like that who have been part of my life for umpteen years. I mean, some I've known ever since childhood, like real childhood, 4 years old. One friend was actually her mother, and my biological mother were friends in high school. So we know each other since we were born. Okay. So there are certain people. And so for me, it's more external. I like to talk about things. I want to share. I'm not so you know, in myself.
But okay, so let me make a point here. Okay. I used to be that way.
Mm,
Through my whole life, I was that way,
well,
external. I
well,
wanted to vent. I wanted to talk about things. I had a lot of people, a lot more people in my life before Jim. Something happened after all that loss,
mm, yeah.
and I wasn't that person anymore.
But you are inside. Okay. So
I know, but there was something, and it began the day he died that I wanted to feel. Um, how do you feel? How do I keep thinking of the word being gentle with yourself, right?
it's,
That was
yeah,
always
it's
a thing,
self-care. It's self-care. Yeah.
right? And I always wanted to gentleness and quietness and peace. I had so much drama that went on for so long with so many people, and I want that peace. So I was always that way, Lisa. That's funny,
Mm-hmm. That's
to
interesting.
discover that about myself. But
Yeah.
I don't know why that's changed. That's the learning process. Maybe
Right.
it's just the decade I'm going through,
Maybe it's
right?
also,
Seasons change.
yeah, but maybe it's also how you learn to cope
Mhm.
with heartache and sadness and all. You
Right.
turned yourself inside, and that was your way of being able to nurture yourself and take care of yourself.
Very
Maybe.
insightful.
Sorry.
We should have therapy
We
sessions like
should.
this, Lisa. But
Well,
I'm enjoying this video right now. I know we don't have too much longer, but I'm
that's all
enjoying
right.
it. I'm enjoying it because we're having the opportunity to show people the differences.
That's right.
Okay. And now their differences to these questions that we're asking
Yes,
today might even be something else.
that's
Will
right.
most likely be something
Sure.
else.
Sure.
That's how different that we all are.
Sure.
Um, so having gone through this journey and walking down this yellow brick road, Lisa, let's talk about the need for to accomplish things in your life or to have goals, or do you want to take one baby step in front of the other? And something, this is important to go over real quick because some people don't. some people just get stuck in that grief mode and don't know how to get out or how to change directions. But this is really, really important. You might not uh, think of any of your dreams and wishes in your first year or 2 years or 3 years, but eventually you really need to think of your own goal or dream or hopes or wishes for your own future, right? We talk about that in many different videos. So mine is to continue to do the legacy work that I've been doing now for 7 years because I'm helping people, I'm helping families and future generations, and to hear their history and their stories and their memories and their wisdom and their love. And on something tangible, whether it's written words or a voice recording or a video interview like the one we're doing now. We are actually doing something like that now. Um, that's, I know that I'm helping, and the idea that if I can ever say or hold a hand or say something to somebody that is going through what I went through, and if I can possibly be any help to them in their own path, then oh my gosh, that would be really fulfilling for me to do that. Now, if you had asked me 12 years ago, it wouldn't have been those two
Sure.
things. So
Sure.
seasons change and life changes. And what has changed for
This
you?
this is where you and I have the same things in common. I
Mhm.
believe that I was born to help
Well,
people.
that's why we do this together.
It's the truth. It's the truth. And I love that. And when people say to me, well, wait a minute, you're a career counselor, but you're also a bereavement support specialist, like what is that all about? And I tell people, I help people celebrate life, whether it's your work, whether it's your personal life, social life, whatever part of your life, it's all part of you. And so celebrating your life in who you are, what you do, how happy you are, that's that's a concern. That's a priority for me to show others that they need to live their lives fully and happily, no
And you
matter
do
what
such a good
happens.
job at it. That's why you have so many friends and you're such an inspiration to so many other people because you have that quality and that capability that many people do not have.
Thank you.
So love and appreciate that and be grateful. That's wonderful.
Are there any, like, I'm going to ask you something now. Are there any personal things that you want for you? Okay. We talked about others and how we help others. What about for you?
That's a tough one.
I know it is.
Hmm. I want to know what it's like to feel real peace, but on the same token, I I want to also get out there and see the world. I've only wanted to travel
Me too.
since I was young.
Me too.
And unfortunately, I was married for 25 years, and our business had my husband traveling around 50 states in the
Mm,
United States. So when he came home, uh, he wanted to watch TV and have me make him dinner and be home.
mhm.
So my travel plans kind of got put on the wayside. I did do Disney about a dozen times at
Uh-huh.
least, or more.
Hmm.
But so when I think of for me, I think of that. I think I will be moving. I told you that. So
Congratulations.
I want a simple, pretty, zen, peaceful environment base camp that I can get out there and do some more traveling and see different things. So, as a matter of fact, Lisa, and I don't know if you know this, but I've been taking baby steps towards that as well. And I just booked it. So, I'm going with my sister in law and niece, and we're leaving in 3 days, and we're going to the Grand Canyon for 5 days.
So gorgeous. So gorgeous. You'll love
I've
it.
been there. I've been to Sedona
Hmm.
twice in my
Hmm.
life with the intention of going to the Grand Canyon
Yeah.
and never made it.
Yeah.
Two different reasons why I never made it, but I never made it. So now looking at all this weather going on around the United States and these
Yeah.
plane issues and all these
Yeah. I
things.
know. I know.
Okay. If I don't make it there this time, Lisa, it's really not meant to be. But hopefully, so I won't see you next week, but the following week, hopefully, I'll have my success stories.
So I also like traveling. And I want to go to Israel. And I keep saying, okay, when's it going to be safe to go to Israel? I really do. And there are lots of places in Europe that I'd love to visit. My partner is not interested in leaving the United States, so I will find a women's group. There are plenty of women tribe travel groups, and
Yeah,
I will find some or one that I like, talk to other people and see what they have done. And I would love to travel with women. I think women are great.
I think that's a good idea for me as well. Um, but having said that, Lisa, it's funny because I do legacy letters, legacy wills, I'm sorry, for a law firm, for Brian Tully Elder Law firm here on Long Island. And how many people do I talk to that tell me the same exact thing that they want to go to Israel? So that just gave me the chills when you said that because
Yeah,
a lot of people really do,
yeah,
you know.
it's an amazing
All right.
place. Yeah,
So I think
okay,
we've shared a lot today.
we have.
What I would like to just go through a little bit is, well, I've talked about legacy in past videos, but it's really important. You might not have the stories and wisdom of your loved one who's passed, but you have an opportunity to learn from that. Okay. And how do you want to be remembered? Things you can do right now. I mean, there's journaling, there's books, there's little audio recorders. Anything you leave, no matter regardless of how small you may think it is, will be a lot someday to your future generations.
Yeah,
And if you,
I love what I'm doing with my granddaughter. She's
yes,
13. We started this, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago. It is a Grandma Remembers book, and she writes down and she asks me a question, once in a while, and I give her answers, and she writes. And that's great because she's learning with me and she's
yes,
hearing it with me, and it'll be in a book as
that's
well.
wonderful. That's
It's really
wonderful.
nice.
So I just wanted to add that in, before we end our video today, because that's important for you to think about now, especially if your loved one didn't. So we wanted to leave you with a few words of comfort, Lisa and I.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And first one, I want to let you know that your grief is valid,
Mm-hmm.
right? Lisa and I talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
So your pain is not a weakness. Remember that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's only a testament to the depth of love that you shared with another person.
How beautiful.
There's no timeline for
Yeah.
healing, and it's
Yeah.
okay to feel whatever you are feeling right now.
Yeah. That's true. Next one, love doesn't disappear. It is with you forever. I tell people, I know it sounds corny, but I tell people all the time, they live in our hearts forever. And that's the truth. It doesn't, everything that you have doesn't leave. It doesn't leave just because that person is not physically there with you. It never disappears. And by the
Right.
way, Ghost, that's why I watch Ghost, because that movie says it right there. So great movie. Yeah.
Next is healing is not linear. Okay. Some days will feel impossible, as certain days I still do, and other days will bring you unexpected feelings of peace, right? And both of these are part of your healing
That's
journey,
right. That's
not
right.
journal. I have journals on my mind. Your
Yeah,
healing journey, both of these.
that's
So
right.
be gentle with yourself through every emotion that you have every day. This
That's
is
right.
really important to remember.
Which reminds us, it's okay not to be okay. All right. All these expectations on us. You don't have to be strong all the time. And grief comes in waves. And I'll talk about the little triggers. When my son told me he was engaged, I had such amazing feelings of joy and happiness. And then the rest of, my husband's not here to see it, experience it, just like with my grandchildren not being, not having grandpa.
Right.
So it's okay. This is normal. You don't have
Part
to
of our
put
journey.
pressure on yourself or anything like that. So yeah,
Exactly. And that's what I go through continuously, Lisa, the feeling good and then not good. So this is just a part of life. This is a part of life that most everybody will experience when you lose a loved one. So know that you're walking this path with all of us.
that's right.
And this next one, Lisa, is for you.
Mm,
Your
my
loved
favorite.
one would want you to live.
Mm,
So healing doesn't mean forgetting.
that's right.
It means finding a way to honor their memory while also allowing yourself to experience love, joy, and hope
Hmm.
again.
Yeah, that's the
Right?
truth.
You always say that.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So you're not alone. Even when it feels like you're alone and you're isolating, there's so many people who understand and who care about you. And sometimes you just have to reach out, as difficult as it is, and let them, allow them to
That's right.
heal you, to help you, to that's part of, that's part of love, being able to receive as well as give. Most of us, it's so easy for us to give, but we have to receive too. It's so important. People want to help and people want to be there for you. And if you push them away, they feel a little rejected. Okay. So, um,
Right. That's
yeah,
really important. Really
it is.
important.
It
It's
is.
it's not easy to receive and even if you have to look for it, there are people in the world that do not have big circles around them,
Mm,
support circles. So maybe you need to find it through new friends and new people in your life, but that's going to take you putting one foot in front of the other and
sure.
opening the door and
Sure.
taking a walk or getting in your car or
Mhm.
wherever you are,
Yeah.
your community, finding your own support system, even if it's new.
Yeah.
So also grief
Mm,
is really it's the price of love. So the depth of your sorrow reflects the magnitude of your love. And the pain exists because of what you shared with somebody. And that is beautiful and meaningful. And I'm going to say it again, Lisa. Please tell us about the jar.
yeah. Okay. Here we go. I actually decided to find it again so that everybody would see it. And this is the wonderful jar. So people tell you that grief tends to shrink over time. You got your jar of life, and there's your grief ball. And people think, okay, so here's my grief ball, and it gets small and small, small. That's not true. What happens is we grow around our grief. So our lives, the jar of life gets larger, and grief is always there and part of it. But the jar of life, if you allow yourself to live, gets bigger and bigger. And that's what I love about this. This is the way life really is. And I just want to say, because this is so perfect, the rabbi who did my mother's funeral said that the tears that we shed are a measure of the grief that we had and the love that we had for somebody. So people who say, don't cry, what is that about? That's ridiculous. Okay. So I love that. I love that he said that. Um,
That
because
is
it is sad that
perfect.
we've lost our people, and it's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel the sadness and the loss. But that is the beautiful price of the incredible people in our lives that we've loved. So
And
true.
Lisa, thank you for sharing that because that was not a planned moment.
No,
You
it
happen
wasn't.
you happen to have that there. So
I did. I did.
I put you on the spot to just tell us about it because
Yep.
I love when you talk about them.
Yes.
You
I love
actually
that.
got to show us the diagram, so I
I
love
love
that.
that. So small moments matter. Um, everything, every little thing, sometimes it's a sunset. Sometimes it's just some nature thing or a bird, that cardinal. The cardinal that I saw up in the tree, that beautiful red cardinal I saw down in the villages one time. Oh, took my breath away. That cardinal. Um, just small things, memories that bring a smile to our face. All of that is all part of living and loving. Yeah.
And then you have to remember that your loved one's legacy continues, right? So every time you show kindness or you share a story or live with the values that they taught you, okay, their spirit continues to touch the world. And I do this consistently whenever I go to order something online. And I'll tell you why. I ordered my husband a hamper 25 years ago. And it was a double hamper. It opened on top and it opened on the bottom. Now he's 6'8". So I thought, oh, I'll have the bottom pull out. He'll have the top pull out. And then you have the basket you just pull out and take down to the laundry room, right? One thing that I neglect to do and still do till this day, but now it's like I still hear him. I still hear him behind me, is to check the size, the height, the width, and the depth of things before you order them. So this double hamper, Lisa,
Hmm.
I think were meant for um, people who are about 4 foot tall.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. Yes. Yes, exactly. You would have loved this double hamper, but it was really, really tiny. And in my vision, I thought it was this much bigger piece. Okay. Long story short, I'm babbling now. Every time I go to order something, I hear his voice. You know, what size is it? Make sure it's the size you want and you're getting it. So they do stay with us, all their stories and memories and
And we should be repeating them to our family, to our loved ones, to future generations. Repeat the stories. I always say, Grandpa Fred this, and my grandchildren love hearing the stories. And,
yeah,
you know, I keep him with them. I keep him
yeah,
as part of them, even though they never knew him.
right.
That's my job.
And the sadness and all of that is that some people think it's better
I
not to
know.
bring
I
their
know.
loved ones past
I
because
know.
they don't want to hurt each other with the words or the stories. Yeah, and just let's be quiet. Oh, don't say anything. But we appreciate it. We appreciate when somebody says something cool or brings up a memory, and
Yes.
we love that.
That's true. That's true. And last but not least, because I love this, you're stronger than you know. It's incredible how strong all of us are when we're tested. We can say, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. But when it really happens and when we're in a situation, so many of us just rise. They do. We rise to the occasion. We cope better than we ever could have thought. Um, it's 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 resilience. That's
Yeah,
what it is. And I love that because people don't give themselves credit for really who we are. We have
that's right.
incredible strength to get through so much in life and our lessons that we've learned and how we move on and move forward. I don't want anybody to think we've forgotten. We haven't forgotten anybody. Moving on does not mean you forgot somebody. It means that you're living your life and you're continuing your life, which we all deserve to do. So, yeah,
And so many people talk about healing,
yeah,
healing, healing
yeah,
from this grief. But healing's not about moving on.
that's right.
It's just moving forward,
That's right.
carrying that love with you always,
That's right.
but moving forward.
That's right. That's true. That's true.
So we
You
hope
know,
you enjoyed this today.
you have I just want to say, Susan, because Susan put together all this. And these are amazing concepts and amazing thoughts. And I really appreciate you putting that kind of effort and time into it because you touch so many important concepts and ideas and values. You really did, Susan. And you know what?
Thank you.
That shows where you are now, okay, in your
Yeah,
life. It
I
does.
know.
I mean, you've even changed in the time that we have been together doing this. So give yourself credit for that as well, okay?
And I
Sometimes we don't
couldn't
give
do it
ourselves enough.
without you, Lisa. I couldn't do it without you. So
Thank
thank you very much for that. And we hope you took at least a little something away from today's video. Thank you for listening in. Like our video and please share it
you. Yeah,
with a friend who may need it most right now. right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
we'll talk to you in a couple weeks. I'll let you know
Sounds
how the
great.
Great Canyon is.
Sounds great. Take care.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yep. Bye.